Welcome to another podcast from me, Steve's Corner, 30 minutes. And today, I don't think this person really needs an introduction, so I'm just going to show you who he is. Here he is. Thank you very much for coming.
Steve, thank you so much for the invite.
Really appreciate your time, because I know you're a very busy man.
It was local, so I couldn't say no to that.
That's good. I appreciate it. So, guys, I'm going to let him introduce himself, because he can tell you what he does. He can tell you what he specialises in. And take it away. Floor's yours.
Thank you very much, Steve. So my name is Saj Hussain. I'm based in Birmingham and been involved in property about 15 years. I've pretty much always been self-employed, worked for myself, fairly entrepreneurial, but I think found that property is where you can really build long-term wealth. I really struggled at the beginning when I started in property, but was fortunate to do lots of different strategies over the years. So many different things, from sourcing single buy-to-lets, flipping small HMOs, bigger HMOs, converting commercial properties, building properties out the ground. So quite a mixture of things we've done.
So your resume is pretty impressive.
I'll just say a mixture.
Okay, that's good. Downplaying it a little bit. So I've been on YouTube now for a year. Prior to going on YouTube, you're one of the people that I knew about. Your presence is huge. Are you on 26,000, 25,000
yes.
subscribers now? So you have a huge presence in the UK property sector. And we've just had a little conversation about YouTube in general. Very slow burner.
Absolutely.
How long have you been doing it?
Well, I actually set up the channel about 11 years ago.
Wow, okay.
But I did very little with it. And then during lockdown, when all our events stopped, and I found myself with a bit of spare time, and I thought maybe we should kind of put a bit more effort into YouTube. So during lockdown we started. So probably coming up to 2 years we've been
fully active.
Yeah.
And how do you find it? Like being on camera and stuff?
Hard work. Oh, camera, I don't mind camera. I'm quite happy being on camera and stuff. I'm not camera shy. I think I learnt about speaking and presenting quite a long time ago, and the biggest lesson I took from that was just be yourself rather than trying to be somebody else. Because we're not actors that have to kind of get into a certain persona. You just be yourself all the time, then you don't have to kind of switch, as it were. And I don't worry about the cameras, but it is hard work. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We were just saying earlier, there's lots and lots and lots of property channels. Most of them probably never make past 1,000 subscribers.
Yep. We said that. It's a very... People don't realise the effort that goes into producing a video to go out on YouTube. I mean, even we're just sitting here for 15 minutes while they're getting everything ready, 20 minutes, and it was already set up, but they're tweaking it and fine tuning it. It's a lot of time, isn't it?
Yes. It's time well spent. So, why do we do YouTube? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is, you build your contacts and connections. So I'm being a big fan of... because that's really how I benefited in property, by just meeting and connecting with people, networking. So it's a form of networking where I'm talking to lots of people at the same time rather than one-to-one networking.
Yeah.
So it brings you great people. And, from there, that's where opportunities stem from. That's why we do it.
That's good.
We make a pittance in terms of adverts.
Yeah, I know. I think after 14 months, I think we're on... Dina, can you confirm?
Probably close to £3,000.
Are we nearly on £3,000? Okay,
Wow.
we're nearly on £3,000. So... Sounds like a lot of money, but when you actually put the time and expenses into it, it's not even 1% of what you spend to be on YouTube.
Absolutely.
But it is great to give people content and
Yes.
and let people see things, and it's free.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. So even this podcast today, you're going to give some information out that people will pay for normally.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and I like that. I like that concept, and I like the way that you do certain things as well with your your whiteboard and things and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Your networking events.
Yes.
I attended one. Huge, a lot of people there. How did you find them?
It's always hard to get people into a room, but I think it's such a great buzz when you've got a room full of people networking, connecting with each other, building their relationships. As I've been a fan from networking a long time, it started off as the Birmingham Property Investors Curry Night, me and about 3 other people. That's essentially what it was about 9 years ago, and it kind of just evolved from that slowly, gone through a few different iterations. But I just focus on try and create an environment where people want to come to and meet other people. And I just they don't come for me, they come because there's a room full of lots of people that can connect and network with.
Yeah, I think again you're downplaying it. I think you're the reason that they actually do come, and then there is a room full of people that connect with each other. Your last networking event, you speak. You do a
Yeah.
lot of public speaking. How do you find public speaking? Again, I know you're not camera shy.
It's a learnt skill. I mean, if I think about when I was at school, I was a bit shy, the shy kid. You know what I mean? But it's a skill that it's a skill that's important. So in business, I've been in business for about 31 years now, and I think done very well at things, and I've made huge amounts of mistakes as well, and lost a lot of money over the years as well. But the one thing I've realized is really important in terms of a skill is communication. So what's communication? Well, that could be verbal or it could be visual, and that's what sales is, and that's what marketing is. So if you master communication, you're halfway there to kind of doing okay in business.
Yeah.
And speaking, presenting, camera, I just kind of put them all together in one thing. It's just be yourself, and never hold back in terms of trying to give good value and help somebody else.
Okay. So property,
Yes.
which is why everybody's on this channel. What's the best deal you've ever done?
Best deal I've ever done. I'll tell you one of my favourite deals I've ever done. I bought 3 flats in Dudley for about 70 grand. That probably worth about 240 odd grand or something.
Okay.
So
3 flats in the same building?
Yeah.
Like a house?
Half a block, effectively.
Oh,
It was
okay.
a block of 6.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that's not made us the most money, but that was a perfect example of it took about a year to do. The first time we spoke to the seller, no, I'm not interested in your offer, mate. You gotta be joking if you think I'm going to accept that. That's fine. It's not no, never. It's not no, not now.
Okay.
And as their motivation changes, you stay in touch, their situation changes, you build a rapport over time, and when they're ready to do the deal, you're there.
So perseverance as well?
Absolutely.
So you kept in there?
Yes.
Okay.
And then that for me is an example of you stick to it and the results will happen. Not every person we speak to will sell their property to us, but a small percentage will.
Yeah. And the worst deal you've ever done?
Oh, quite a few of those. I think a deal is bad if we lose money at the end of the day. There's a few properties we lost money on, not loads. A lot of stuff I do is at other people's money, so I'm always conscious and obsessive about, it's important we don't lose money. On the couple of occasions we have, I've stuck my hand in my pocket and I said, look, you know what, I'm going to make sure you're not out of pocket on it.
So what problems did you face to lose money?
The 2 more classic ones, it took longer and cost more.
Yeah. Builders?
I guess you could say that, but I don't blame builders because we're responsible for the builders. You've got to take responsibility.
Yeah.
If a builder screws up, it wasn't the builder's fault. It's my fault for appointing them and not keeping an eye on them.
Okay. That's good. So when you go into... Let's break down a deal. You must get sent a lot of deals.
We do. Most of it's rubbish, to be honest.
Yeah. So do you have somebody that goes through them for you before they come to you, or do you analyse everything
No, we
yourself?
have a couple of people in the team that will appraise the deals.
Yeah.
So they're looking at them and see if they're any good. Then I'll look at them. I don't go out to look at the property in terms of physically much, in terms of because we've got a great team. They'll go out, have a look, and we'll discuss it, and often do the deal then on the phone. And I was talking about this yesterday to somebody. Your word is very important in this business. There's times we've done deals, we've shook hands on it, we reflected on it afterwards. We think, you know what, that might not have been the best deal, but we've still gone through with it because we've committed with it.
Your credibility is key.
Because I was speaking to somebody yesterday about backing out of a deal, and I said, look, we'd never back out of a deal if we're committed to it. That's it. We're doing it.
I like that. And there's not a lot of people who follow that through.
And if people remember that, they'll next time, because people sense sometimes it might not have been the best deal, but you still did it. You could have backed out. How long does it take to do a deal? Weeks, months sometimes.
Yep.
You've got plenty of time to back out.
Yeah, one of our sourcers who works very, very closely with us, he sourced a deal for somebody. The guy was happy with it. He wanted it. He'd done it all. This was nothing to do with us at the time. This was his personal thing that he was doing. And the guy agreed to pay £2,000 or £3,000 for the deal. And deal went through, solicitors instructed, and then he was like, well, I'm not going to pay you until the valuation's been done.
Yeah.
And the source was like, that wasn't what we agreed. But okay, I'll let you go. Valuation was instructed. Then he phoned him and was like, right, you've had the valuation. Can I get paid? And he was like, no, I'm not going to pay till exchange of contracts. And then he was like, okay, that wasn't the deal, but I'll let it go again. Day come of exchange of contracts, and he just pulled out. And then he phoned up the sourcer, and he was like, "What? I've pulled out. Don't want it. Change my mind." And he's like, "But you paid the solicitor's fees." "Well, I only paid half, so you're not getting paid." Now, the sourcer came and told me that story, and I was like, "Well, if you ever cross his paths again, you know not to work with him."
Yeah, it only happened once.
Last month, the guy phoned him to buy a property off him.
Right.
Was like, "Oh, I've seen this. I want it," and he was like, "No, I'm not working with you ever again." And he's told me that story. I've just told you that story. Obviously, you don't know who the person is because I would never name the person on here. But that person now's name is being thrown around in circles, and it will lose in business in the future.
You do good work. A few people hear about it. You do a bad job. Everybody hears about it.
Everybody hears
it's
about it.
It's a small world. I mean, it's not a massive community property.
No. It's very small. And I've realised that since I've come on social media, because we've been in property for a very long time, but we've never been on the social media side of it. And when you just said it's a small world, it's a lot smaller than that, isn't it? Yeah. Everybody knows everybody.
Yes. You talk to somebody and say, oh yeah, I know such and such. And
yeah. And we look at social media. You said there's a lot of channels in the property world. If you actually look at physical names or companies, you could probably just reel off 10 that actually have a bit of impact or presence. So it is a very small world, and keeping your name is very important and things like that. I agree with that. So we talked about when you get a deal, you have people who go through it and they look at it, and then obviously it comes to you, because at the end of the day, you're the person that has to pull the trigger.
Yes.
If you find a deal that works for you personally, what does it have to be at right now with the level you're at? What's the profit margins, or is it what the strategy you can use on it? How does it work now with where you are?
There's a couple of things. So we generally want to make a profit margin about 25% plus for us to look at it. So that's if we add in some value to something we're going to sell it on. And as I said, often we use investor money, so there needs to be enough in it for us and for them. So that's the kind of absolute minimum that we look at. The stuff that we keep tends to be high-end HMOs or small blocks of apartments, small blocks being 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. And those, what we're focused on is ensuring that we can get decent valuations so we can get the money back out.
Yeah.
That's generally what we're looking for. So when I first started, it was kind of there was one objective. Well, if I can make some money in it, I'm interested. But over time, it's a case of, well, it's a bit more than that. It needs to be profitable. It needs to be not a super headache, because sometimes you can start something and then actually, as you start taking the property apart, you find, well, actually, there's more to this. We need to do this as well. Or it constantly evolves, or you don't know what the exact exit is. Those kind of deals I don't like doing. Yeah. Where it's a case, we might be able to do this and we could do that. No, we need to be clear right from the offset what we're doing, and no intention of changing unless we have to switch to a plan B.
Okay, but do you always have a plan B?
Yeah.
Okay, are you very analytical?
Not super analytical, but I will look at the numbers. I'm not, I have got like 3 screens on my desk. Do you know what I mean? But I take the mickey sometimes out of people with like these massive spreadsheets and that analyze, overanalyze, reanalyze, and talk themselves out of it. Yep. Because it's all based on if this but that. You have got to be realistic about what works. So, for example, if someone says, "Well, let's build in voids, let's build in 150 quid maintenance a month, and all these things." If you put all those things in every month, the deal isn't going to work. But that's not going to happen every single month. You're not going to have massive repairs every month, for example. So sometimes spreadsheets, you can get too analytical with them. So I like to see that we've done the numbers, but I'll always take a view.
Yeah, we call it here paralysis by analysis.
Yes.
And we don't like it. Yeah. We're very like you. You can put voids in, and it's good to have you do your due diligence and understand things. But sometimes, if it works to a certain degree and you are happy, you just got to go for it.
Yeah, it's that gut feeling. You've got a sense that actually this is a good deal. It's a good location. It's the right type of building. You've got to have that gut feeling about it.
Yeah, but anyone who knows this channel and anyone who knows me knows that everything I do is on gut and instinct, because I'm a massive believer in it. I believe your gut is a sense.
Yes.
Anytime something bad happens, your stomach turns.
Yeah.
When you're happy, you get butterflies. That all comes from here. So I'm a big believer in that.
I like to back it up with some numbers as well.
Definitely numbers. Definitely numbers.
Just by,
I'm a big numbers guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, guts and instincts.
Yes.
It can kind of lead you in the right direction.
Yes.
And steer you away from certain things as well. Do you have a select team of builders in the Midlands areas that you refer back to because of how long you've been involved in the sector?
Yeah. So we've got one team that's just worked for me probably 12 years non-stop now.
That is a fantastic thing to have.
Effectively, it's next best thing to employing them. So we've never let them go off to do anything else.
Okay.
We don't employ them. They're a separate building company, but they essentially only do our work.
Yeah.
And we have another company that kind of, I'd say probably half of what they do is our work.
Okay.
I'd like to kind of build that up, but I don't like doing lots of deals. I like to do good quality, profitable deals rather than loads of deals.
Okay. How are you finding the market right now?
It's still tough. The market's tough. There's not loads of stuff out there. Stock levels are low. Demand is super high. Loads of money out there. Everyone's overpaying for stuff. But I think just in the last probably couple of weeks or so, I'm sensing that we're having conversation with people we spoke to, say, last year about plots, about land, where what they wanted just isn't going to work. And we'll always stay in touch. We always kind of follow up the leads kind of religiously until they've said, look, either stop bothering me or we've sold, we're not interested now. And those conversations, they're becoming a little bit more open. I'm not saying they've kind of all of a sudden going to be accepting much lower prices, but you can sense there's some change. And I think, with interest rates now starting to rise, inflation creeping up, the sentiment will start to change. When the sentiment starts to change, when the 10 o'clock news starts talking about inflation is this, interest rates are going up, businesses are in difficulty, when we start hearing more of that, then people will stop spending as the way they've been spending. And when that happens, then people selling will start becoming more realistic.
Yeah. So we have a lot of friends who own estate agents or are estate agents. And we was out for dinner last night, me and Isabella. And we were speaking to Isabella's cousin, who's actually an estate agent as well. And he was like, viewings are going down. So we put a property on the market in an area where we was getting 50, 60 people call up.
Yeah.
And we had 10 viewings. And he's a big estate agent,
Yeah.
very well known in the Midlands. I'll tell you who it is in a minute. And he was like, so we all got speaking in the office. And across 6 agents who go out and do the viewings, all of them was like, yeah, there's not many people viewing the houses. So to me, that's a big sign. That's a huge sign. Doesn't really mean you're going to get the house any cheaper, because out of them 10 people, you still might have that guy woman who's got more money and wants to pay. But it is showing
It's
little
an indication of where the market might
shift.
be heading. We've got a couple of properties we're selling at the moment. One's going on the market on Saturday. One will probably be in about a week's time. And so it'll be interesting to see like what the sort of demand levels are at the moment. And on the one for Saturday, they've been booking in appointments. I think it's about 8 or 9 booked in, which is good. And I'm confident we'll have it sold within a week. But it's not like 20 people booked in for a viewing.
Yeah. It's not 6 months ago, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
So that is a good indication. I'm also finding that when we are buying houses, or people that we know are buying houses, especially in the last 6 weeks, mortgage companies, now they're starting to ask for certain things that they didn't ask for a year ago. So they're asking for surveys to be done before they give the finance. They're asking for timber and damp reports and stuff. And in the last 4 weeks, and I'm looking over at my Isabella to see if she can confirm, we've bought 4 houses, and ours have gone through because of the relationship we have with our lenders. But the same lenders have given some mortgages to people that are in the circle or thingy, and every one of them has been asked for a timber and a damp report. Is that true, Isabella? Yeah, every single one of them.
Interesting.
And I'm like, and I'm seeing it more and more and more. So I'm like, they are doing certain things, I think, to bring the mortgage back down a little bit, and it's quite smart with what they're doing.
The availability of funding is always, I think, a good indication of what's about to happen. When they start getting nervous, they're getting nervous for a reason. And if they're getting stricter, we tend to buy everything for cash. Not that we got loads of it, that we kind of tap into the investors to buy for cash, and just get transactions wrapped up quickly,
super quick.
And sometimes we'll take a view. Sometimes we're not sure about something, we might send the builders in. If we're really unsure, then I'll probably take a surveyor around and say, look, can you give us an opinion on this?
But with your knowledge, I'm presuming
it's just experience. You
apart from getting in the loft and looking, you can kind of spot a lot of stuff now.
But most of our renovations are big. They're to like 100 grand plus renovations. So it's almost like we're going to rip everything out anyway. So if there's a bit of damp or the heating's leaking, it's not a problem. Everything's going to end up in the skip.
Doing it anyway. We talk about that because everything that we do is back to brick.
Yes.
So when people go, have you gone round and looked at this? I'm kind of like, doesn't really
It's
matter
irrelevant.
because I am going to do the whole thing anyway. Which, guys, I'm not advising anybody at home just starts running around doing crazy
You don't want to
things.
start there.
No. You just want to keep it very simple when you first start out. A bit more experience, start doing things like that. So you just talked about buying things in cash.
Not literally bags of cash, by the way.
I know, yeah. This is going to be a really good segment for people who are starting out,
Yes.
or people who are very experienced but struggle with financing. To get investors, again, going back to it, you're very well credible, so investors will just come to you. Sometimes you might have to put the feelers out to say you've got something, but I'm presuming you've always got people there on standby.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah, it is now, but it wasn't always that way. And everybody has to start at the beginning.
Yep.
The biggest challenge people face is, but I don't have no experience, I've got no track record. Why is somebody going to invest with me? And I say, you've got to be investable. If you have that attitude, no one's going to invest in you. So what you've got to do is think about putting yourself in the shoes of the investor. What do they want? So people talk about, what's my return on capital? I think, well, firstly, it's about return of capital. They want confidence they're going to get the money back, that you're not going to lose their money. And then, are your numbers realistic, what you're talking about? Have you de-risked it for them? And when you can do that, and one way to de-risk it when you're new and you're on your own and you've not done this before, is to involve somebody that's maybe more experienced, so that they know there's another layer of protection, that this deal isn't going to go wrong. And then having a really good relationship and communication with whoever you're working with. The worst number in this business is one. I rely on one investor. You've always got to be looking for money, and the best time to be looking for it is when you don't need it.
Yep.
It's like when you want that overdraft from the bank. When you need it, they don't give it to you.
But then when you don't need it, they're on your case.
They're offering it all the time.
Credit cards and all sorts of stuff.
Absolutely.
That's a great bit of advice, actually, because people look for investors when they need them.
Yes.
So when everything's going great and you've got multiple projects going on, or one project going on, it's still good to have.
Yeah. Some of the best deals are done because you're limited on time, because something's fallen out of bed and the agent said to you, look, if you want, we can get this for you. You've got to commit to do it straight away. So you're running around frantically trying to raise money, and that desperateness comes across, and that doesn't give confidence to the investor.
No, I like that. It's a good tip, guys. Pay attention to that, because I've never said that before, and I don't think anyone else has ever said that. I've never seen that. Look for investors when you don't need it as well, because like you said, desperation can come across when you've got a great deal and you know it's a great deal and you need the money within 24, 48 hours because the agent's saying you've got a day to make a decision, and you go out trying to find an investor. It kind of can come across desperate because you know how good it is.
Absolutely.
So it's a great piece of advice, that is.
And some of that's come from experience of people talk about, what do you find first, the deal or the money? When you ask that question, people say, well, maybe it's a deal, maybe it's the money. I think, well, no, it's wrong. You've got to be looking for both all the time. Okay. You're always looking for deals and you're always looking for money. And then it's a case of matching up what's going to work where. Because sometimes you might speak to an investor and it's not just they'll be interested in investing. You've really got to take the time to understand what they want, what their needs are, what their expectations are. And it's understanding personalities as well. There'll be some people more open to risks. There'll be some people who are, just not prepared to take any kind of a risk. There's always some risk, but they want to mitigate it as much as possible. The expectation around returns will be different. And so rather than say, well, I'm offering this, don't offer anything. Ask what they want, what they're looking for, and see if it's something you can make work. And then that way you've got a number of people you can turn to. And I always say, when you're offering a deal to an investor, make it very easy for them to say no. So let's say I get a deal and I say, right, Steve, I've got this deal. Remember, we had a conversation. You said, you might be interested in getting involved. I think this one's perfect. It's going to fit like a glove. Look, can I send it across to you? Have a look. But look, please let me know within 6 hours, tomorrow morning, whatever it might be. And if it's not for you, just let me know so I can then move on to another investor, because I need to wrap this up quickly. So what I'm doing, I'm also encouraging you to say, look, if it's not for you, it's fine. Because there's how many sleepless nights are you going to have between now and exchange? And if you're a little bit nervous about it, I'd rather know that now than get the call on the day. You want to get the call, you get the text, oh, Saj, yeah, thanks, but we've changed our mind. We've decided it's not for us. You don't want to know that then. You want to know in advance if it's not for them. So you just move on. And if you've got 2 or 3 investors, then you have the confidence as well that, you know what, it's a good deal. I'll find another investor. And if you focus on finding really good deals, literally the money does find you.
Yep. I agree with that. We have a lot of people who message us all the time. I've got this much money. I want to invest it. Have you got anything that we can do right now? Is there anything that can go on? And the money is out there.
Yes.
There is money. There's huge amounts of money out there.
There's
Everyone's got
trillions of dollars that change hands every day. The trouble is, it's just not going through our hands. That's
Yeah.
what you've got to do.
That's
You've
true.
got
Yeah.
You've got to
get
make
it.
some of it to come
Yeah,
this
you've
way.
got it.
Yeah,
You've got to get it.
that's it.
And the more you go out, like you said, and the more you put yourself out there and you explain that, yes, I do take investment and I want certain things, it comes, people
Yes.
follow. And because you're on, again, this doesn't necessarily mean everything you see on YouTube and social media is true, but because you document your journey, people do seem to have more trust in you.
Yes, and business is done because people will subconsciously get to know you, like you, and trust you. Those three things have to happen before somebody's comfortable doing business. If you can subconsciously do that remotely, i.e. using social media, by putting yourself out there, by being visible, by being transparent, then you're much more likely to have the conversation when people reach out to you. They're ready to invest. They've already gone through the process. They've got to know you. They like you. They trust you before they've even ever met you. And in a world where you just bump into somebody, you've met them at a networking event, that's not going to happen in 5 minutes. If they already know of you online, they've seen your presence, then it's much easier. And sometimes, people might be watching, thinking, well, it's all right for you. You've got X thousand followers, whatever, on social. Well, it's not necessarily a case of, as I said, everyone needs to start from the beginning. And the easiest way to do that, as you said, just share what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Practice what you preach.
Absolutely.
It's something I'm a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of people who come online and sell a mentorship or a course, but they're not backing it up with anything.
Yes.
Like they're not showing
Yeah.
anything they've done.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think in our industry, there's too many people that make a lot of money from showing and telling rather than doing.
Yeah. And anyone can swallow a book, and anyone can sit and recite a paragraph or a speech, and people can be, that's not this podcast. We're not getting into that. But yeah, there is not many people out there showing what they're doing.
Yes.
And it's nice to have a handful of people who actually go out and show their properties, like you. We do it here. There's a couple of other people I can name that do it. And I think that's important.
Yes.
I think it's very important. If you're going to give someone some money for something, at least see that they're doing what they say they're doing.
Yes.
And not just talking it. So that's important. You offer certain things. So you have 3 parts of your business. Is that true?
Yeah. So essentially the 3 things that we do, we buy, renovate, refurbish properties. So buying properties are a core part of our business. When I say buy, sometimes we'll just partner with owners and add value and sell like an assisted sale or something. But essentially, developing property is a core part of the business. Then after that, we've got the management agency. So we do the HMOs, primarily high-end HMOs in Birmingham, and service accommodation. So across those 2 businesses, we probably have about 700 people will kind of stay with us each night, if you like, across the SA and the HMOs. And then the third part of the business is kind of, the networking, training, mentoring world. And the networking has always been a core part of what I do. And social media is just like kind of an extension of that.
Okay, so you have your inner circle.
Yeah,
which
Inner
is your
Circle is our
mentoring, isn't
mentoring
it?
group, yeah.
So how does that work? So people who
So
watch this can
the
see.
mentoring group is like really an 18-month program. So, when I first started in property, I'd go along learning about property from lots of little events. And, 16 years ago, there wasn't really any Facebook groups or anything either. You'd just really go to a few networking events, read some books. And I was trying lots of different strategies, but really struggling to get results. And then somebody that was much more experienced than me literally kind of gave me some guidance. It was mentoring, and I joined a mentoring program. I didn't have the money to do it either at that time. I was literally skint. And somebody else partnered with me. They funded it. We kind of... and I was then obsessed about, I need to pay this person back. They've put their trust in me. They've literally paid for my place to join this program. I need to get results fast. And I was just obsessed about doing that. And I did very well there, and I then went on to kind of, even teach in that environment and train some of the most senior people, but in the group and stuff. But after a while, I wanted to do things a little bit different in my own way. Before we came on camera, we were also talking about sometimes people don't get results from training and mentoring because the work is hard. Not everybody wants to put the work in. So effectively, it's a long-winded way of saying I've kind of tried to create something which is really more personal and results-based rather than a general training program.
Yep. Okay. So training is something that we was doing, and I'll talk to you about this off camera. We have a huge announcement about that coming up. The masterclasses that we do, we had a chat about that. But the network, like you've just said, to me, that's the biggest thing for me, the network. And like I said, your networking events at the beginning of this podcast, you sell them out every month. Is it every month
Yeah,
now?
yeah. I mean, we've actually restructured them, so we're going to do the larger ones quarterly and the smaller ones in our office where we get 50 people in those. But literally, for the last few years, we've been running them. We took a break during COVID for a couple of years. We've never had a time where we haven't sold out before the event all the tickets.
Really cool. That's really good. But that's a testament to what you put in. That's because you do put the effort in. Final thing I want to know is your goals.
Yes.
Because you said you've been in property now 15 years and very successful. I'm presuming, I know you probably say you haven't got bags of cash, but you're in a very comfortable position in life. What is the goal now? What are you trying to create? What is the reason that you get up every single day and do this, and also put yourself out on YouTube and social media?
That's a really good question, and I think two things spring to mind. I always want to stay humble and always want to be hungry, and that's what keeps me going. I'm not the kind of person that can just switch off. I mean, one thing I do like to is take short breaks, lots of holidays, and even when I'm away, I'm up at 5 a.m. on the laptop sorting out stuff before we kind of start the day, because that's just ingrained in me. That's the way I am. I can't see myself doing anything other than this until they eventually carry me out in a box.
Okay.
I just, if you love doing what you do, you just carry on. You just do different things, different projects, bigger projects, and properties are big enough kind of area for you to do lots of different things in and constantly stay creative, stay excited. So I've no intention of doing anything different. I'm still buzzing and excited about every day.
There's no limit, is there?
No, there
because
isn't.
You can do a single buy-to-let. Then you can go into your HMOs, then you go into your flats, then you can build, then you can build multiple, then you can build hundreds, then you can build tower blocks.
Yes, yeah.
Then you can build commercial buildings. It's never ending, isn't it?
Shopping centres, where do you stop? Cities.
Yeah. It's never ending. But it's really nice for people to get an insight into you again. I know you do a few podcasts and stuff. And it's really nice as well for people to see that you're on our podcast, because we're in the same city.
Yes.
And people can make up a lot of things like, oh, they're in the same sector, so there's rivalry. It's not this, it's not that. And like I said on one of the weeklies with a couple of people who are in the sector, it's not a competition.
No.
There's no need for competition. Your audience like you,
yes,
but now our audience might like you as well.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And there's enough out there for every single person to come together. And in this property sector, like you said, there's only about 10 people on social media who have a presence. And if all of them work together as a team, this could grow into something.
Absolutely, it's a collaborative mindset, and which is what properties. I mean, we a lot of what we do is joint ventures, partnerships in property, using other people's money, leveraging somebody else's deal and stuff. It's all about collaboration.
Yeah,
this is an extension of collaboration.
Yeah, I really like it. So I massively appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And another thing that you didn't know, guys, was when he came into the office today, we'd never met properly previously. We'd crossed paths, but not met properly. He didn't even know what the questions are or anything like that. He just turned up. He was like, "Yep, I'm ready to go," and that shows trust as well, because he could have been coming into a podcast today where it could have just been 100 questions of shit.
Yes.
But that's not what we do here at the Property Circle. So yeah, massively appreciate you coming on.
No, thank you. And I've seen some, your content. Well, you guys do a great job, and I was saying to your team, you're doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, have the best
and
team.
In the time frame that you've been doing this, you're doing phenomenally well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate them comments, because it makes it all worth it when people actually say certain things. So, yep, guys, we are ending the podcast now, and it's been a great insight into Saj. And like I said, it's Birmingham. It's one of our own, and I think you're going to see a lot more from us in the future. So, I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.